And welcome back to another video from The Balding Artist. This is going to be a short 5-minute video on 3-point perspective. So we've already covered 1 and 2-point perspective. Now we're going to cover 3-point perspective. And it gets a little bit more complicated each time, but the principles are the exact same, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. So just like in 1 and 2-point perspective, the naming of this makes a lot of sense. In this one, we'll have 3 points of perspective. So draw 2 and draw your line between them. And like I said, I would strongly recommend going back and doing 2-point perspective if you haven't already. And 3-point perspective is really pretty subtle. The idea is that way down here on the bottom of your page, or even off the page, there's going to be another point. So you may not actually see it on your paper. For this purpose, we are going to draw it in there. But your 3rd point is actually going to line up with this first edge that you're kind of going to make right here. So draw your vertical line right there. And then watch what we do. So let's go ahead and do really quick what we did in the 2-point perspective video, which is, oh, that was a wiggly line, which is draw your cube. But here's where it's going to change. These lines, instead of going straight up and down, they're actually going to tip in to this point. So you can see right here, we're going to tip it in and actually draw, let's just draw all the way down. Because as you can see, I was about to mess up. So that's the value of actually drawing the lines and going through the perspective. I'm gonna squeeze it in a little bit. So I'm making my dots right there, kind of identifying my corner so I don't get confused with that mistake I just made. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the top plane like we did the last one. Doing our draw through concept, we're going to draw through the sides that we can't see, draw the vertical back here. And there we have it. Hopefully you can see that cube that's kind of emerged there in space. I'm going to darken it in for you just in case you can't really. And what we have, so what this does to perspective is it gives you just a little bit more of a dynamic look. So you'll typically see this view, which is 3-point perspective, when you're looking at more of an aerial view or like a bird's eye view. If you were to look up pictures of buildings like skyscrapers from above, I'll hurry and draw just really quick freehand. I'm not blocking out all of the perspective for now. But if we were to do a building, you can start to see like where this applies as we start to force this perspective. So that's why your 3rd point is typically so far off the page, because usually you only notice 3-point perspective when you're looking over a really long distance, or when you're very much on top of something looking down. So you can see, and remember, like if you're drawing windows in here, they all have to match this perspective. So they're all going to continue this same idea. I don't have time to draw on all these windows because this is a short video. But you can start to see that skyscraper kind of come about, right? Let's actually draw another layer to it because it will help reinforce the idea. So remember, draw all the way down to where that imaginary dot is. Then, remember to practice this. Practice makes perfect. You can see I'm not doing the exact dots. I'm not using ruler to make sure I get to the right spaces, and that's only because I've done this thousands and thousands of times. So put some miles on that pencil and really get that practice in. Even if they're just cubes in space, they don't need to look like anything pretty. Just go ahead and block out some cubes, get that practice in, put on those miles, and I promise you it'll pay off. So go ahead and get practicing with 3-point perspective. It's really not as hard as it may seem. And remember, you got this.